Welcome back, everybody, to what is the real Monday of the first of 2020. Actually, was there a Monday last week of 2020? No, there wasn't. So this really is the first Monday.
It's literally, yeah. Oh, and it feels like it.
Yeah, it does. It does. There's a lot of CES announcements going on. Just a lot of laptops and Chromebooks and TVs and
Yeah. I
stuff.
don't mean to be super negative, but I feel like
No better way to kick off the first
Well, I
Monday
mean,
of
I-
2020 by going
I
down
almost
the
feel like I
toilet.
can't help it. It's just, it's just not that exciting.
No, well, yeah. I mean, that's because I think we talk about this every year. It used to be that CES was to show off the future of technology. It was some like futuristic show, and now it's just a future of product announcements that will eventually come, and things look nice and they give you things to look forward to. But I will tell you, it's thrown a little wrench into my kind of TV-ness, because I would think maybe within 10 days, I'm hoping that there's a floor installed in this basement. The
Yep.
painting is done. The bathroom won't be done. But I would be in a position to where I could put a TV
Yep.
and watch things down here while sitting
So
in a
has
folding
CES
chair.
changed the value proposition for you or whatever?
Well, so I'm still looking
What
at
has
these
happened with
Visios,
TVs?
and I think that's like I've gone back and forth. Like, there's too much. First off, I went to Best Buy. Like, I wanted to look at the TVs, and this annoyed me to no end.
When you open the door to the Best Buy, did dust fall down and did you crack through a cobweb? Is that
so
what
I
it's like?
So I go to the TVs, right? And
You woke up like a guy was over there in the computer section, like woke up from a deep sleep. Sorry. Go ahead.
I go to the TVs because I'm like, all right, I should look at these things. Like, what's the big deal? And so I'm looking at them, and of course, the guy, like the one guy there, just like comes out and just starts like pooping all over Vizios. Just like he's like, they're the worst TVs in the
Well,
world.
but hold on a second. Do Best Buy people get commissions on sales?
I don't know. I don't think they do anymore. I
Okay.
think they used to. But anyways, he's like dumping on. He's like they were bought by a Chinese company. Their screens are no longer good or all that stuff. So I'm like, okay. I didn't really want to feel like being like,
Why? Where were the screens made before? Austin, Texas?
I don't know.
Are you kidding me?
And so I didn't want to be a jerk. I was like, okay, I'm just looking. I'm not buying anything today and whatever. And so I pull it up and it's like, no, they weren't actually acquired by a Chinese company. They tried to like 3 years ago or something. I think it was Echo tried to buy them and then they just abandoned it. And so they're still an American made company. They're still using whatever components. They're still
I didn't
whatever.
even know they were American. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think they're out of like San Diego or somewhere in California. Not that,
They
not
must
that,
have been created just to supply Costco. Like that must have been the business.
oh, they
model.
only sell in North America, actually.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, I bet it's something like that.
And not that I wouldn't buy it because it was a Chinese-owned company or anything, but whatever. I was just like, okay, and so I went and did the research, and like the site I trust is RT ratings or TVratings.com, I think is what it is. And like these people like nerd out over TVs and like, yeah, they're fine. So, anyways,
Yeah.
but the reason why CES throws a little hiccup into that is they've announced the 2020 models, Paul. They've announced the 2020 models. These are 2019s because it's just like buying a car for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the new ones, of course, are better, but I don't think they're going to be out until like March or something. So
I don't know. I wouldn't worry about this.
I'm not so.
We're not on the cusp of some big transition, right? It's
No.
not like HDR is brand new or
Right.
OLED or 4K or whatever. I mean,
Yeah. If anybody hears noise in the background, it's because drywalling's happening or budding.
oh yeah, I actually hear it.
Yeah, but so then I got to
Being
thinking about it. I was
advanced.
like, I was going down the exact same bent you are, and I'm like, you know what? I want a TV exactly like what's the one behind me, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But this TV is like what 3
know.
years 3 years old now?
easily, yeah. And
So-
honestly, given the model year transition, probably 4.
Yeah. So knowing that, I can't imagine that a TV produced in 2019 is any worse than this,
Yes, that's for sure, for sure.
right? And so if this
I have
is
never once sat on my couch
Yeah.
because we watched that TV and said, "Oh, this frickin', like it's great, like it's
Yeah.
a great TV."
so now that my big challenge is like Best Buy has like low stock of the ones that I want, but the thing is I can get I think I'm gonna get a 65 for people who understand Vizio model numbers. I'm gonna get a 65-inch P series and a 55-inch M series. P is better than M. That's all you need to know. P series for the basement, and then M series for up in my upstairs living room.
Yeah,
So
I would say aside from the inherent technologies, like assuming you're looking at the same 4K display with the same HDR capabilities,
Yep.
blah, 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 whatever. When you go from model year to model year, I bet the big difference, the only big difference, is again, assuming everything else is the same, the ports, whatever, is going to be the built-in apps, right? Because they're smart TVs, like they have.
Yep, that is
this
a change.
platform built in. And I bet that changes a lot. And of
So-
course, you're starting to see with older TVs, like the apps stop getting supported or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, we've kind of gone back and forth on this, but we're at a point right now where we don't use the built-in apps at all.
Yep.
That menu is something that doesn't come up by default when we turn the TV on. We just go right to we're using a Fire TV now, but whatever. We never see it. And I honestly, I wish you could just buy a display. Like, I wish you could get one without the smart stuff,
Yeah.
because really it's just an item that's going to become artificially obsoleted.
Yep.
early
So
to
there,
finish it,
the big differences, at least between the 2019s and 2020s, there's a couple. One, you're exactly right. The apps are updated, but that conversation doesn't matter to me. We use an Apple TV, and that's the end of it. That's all that it.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it
at
might be one of those emergency situations. Something happens, whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
But what's an emergency situation?
Right.
I have a Netflix emergency.
Yeah.
Stat.
Quick, honey, look up how to perform CPR on Netflix.
Gotta
Like,
see
it's
how
not.
you ends. What's going on?
So that is one of them. The other thing they're touting is more dimming zones, which means slightly darker blacks. And then I think so. And then the other one is it goes from 120 hertz refresh rate up to 240. But I turn that crap off. I hate it. Like, I hate that soap opera effect.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I guess 8K maybe at some point, but as far as like upcoming technology transitions, the only thing I'd kind of like to see would be some kind of an integrated, like, rear projection light system or something, where if you're, it could do that thing like Xbox is supposed to do, where it kind of vaguely mimics the display of the screen to create.
Hue does sell that. Anyways, people just ignore that little cutout there. Sometimes Skype gets called, and so there you go. Anyways, that's TV Talk for TV Talk Monday, and we'll see. I'm probably going to end up with the 2019s because they're on sale, as you would expect.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl sales at Best Buy are absolutely the same as the before Christmas sales. So,
Right.
I think there was one day, I think it was like quite literally like January 1st or something, like the prices jumped back up for a day, and then they dropped back down like 24 hours later. So,
Yeah, I've seen this too with other, like, one thing my wife and I looked at a lot over the holidays was like smartwatches and stuff, and we were right on the edge of getting like those what are they called, Fitbit Versa 2 things. They were like super cheap at the relatively speaking, and didn't do it, and then they went off sale, and then it went back on sale, and
anyway, so be on the lookout for lots of CES stuff coming and going. There's the Galaxy event is on the February 11th.
Right, which is early. Like,
Yeah.
I last year they did announce before Mobile World Congress, but if I remember correctly, I feel like it was right before Mobile World Congress, which is right at the end of the month, of February. And this year they're actually pretty early in the month. Also, there's, based on the graphic and the people who are kind of navel gaze over this kind of stuff, there are two shapes. And the speculation is that one of them is a like the normal S11 or whatever they're going to call that line, and then the square, or I guess we call it a diamond shaped one, might be a new, like, the dual screen fold that has been rumored.
That would make a lot of sense. That would actually be pretty interesting too, to see how if they can actually. The thing that turns me off about those most is just, and I don't know how we get around it, are the plastic screens.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that will change over time, of course. But I will say a dual screen device is going to be simpler to manufacture than a folding screen device. So,
yeah,
I don't know. The part of the thing we were talking about earlier, looking forward to Windows in this coming year, or maybe not looking forward is the wrong term, but sort of analyzing what we expect. I mean, Windows 10X supposedly designed for dual screen devices, at least certainly for the first gen. I don't know that these kinds of things make that much of a difference. Like, we already have a lot of different form factors in the Windows space. We have convertibles and, tablets and whatever. Like, we have different things. Like, they don't seem to have done much to help stem the tide of sales going downward. I don't know. Smartphones are a little different. I mean, smartphones, the form factor has mostly been an increase in size.
Mm-hmm.
And then the elimination of bezels.
The other thing that was announced at CES, and we'll end on this high note maybe, is that Lenovo announced a Teams smart display. It was kind of almost looks like they're like smart picture frames that they had the Google Assistant, but it's built for Teams. I keep meaning to write this up, and maybe I will later today over on Petri. But I thought that was kind of neat.
We don't have a screen for Teams. Like, what's the point of this? I like the notion of, like, Lenovo has been right at the forefront of the smart display thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first one to release a Google smart display device. They still have the best ones, I believe. They're better than the ones Google makes, for sure.
Yep.
And so you see them kind of bringing that to the business side. And it's like, okay, that's interesting, but what is this? Like,
I think it's for first-line workers. Is the only. I mean, I can't imagine like an executive like buying this thing and putting it on their desk.
You just have a central area somewhere where there's one of these displays. So maybe.
If you don't want to buy a Surface Hub, maybe I don't know.
I just feel like most businesses, people have a screen. They're going to have a phone. They're going to have a laptop. I don't know.
I'm sure
it's interesting.
I'm sure there's a reason out. It's got to be like first-line workers, right? That people who are working at kiosks or something.
Are you sure
maybe?
There's a reason? So like this. I don't know. I feel like with it was like when HP came out with that the last Windows Mobile phone, whatever that was called.
Yeah.
It was like, guys, what are you doing? Like, this market's dead, right? Like, it's like, it didn't work. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like these companies just throw stuff at the wall, and because you can justify almost anything. You can be like, our research shows there's a blah 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 whatever market. And like, okay.
Yep.
I don't know.
Anyways, you got anything else for today, Mr. Powell? The rat.
I don't know. I spent most of the weekend frustratingly trying to put this Notepad thing to bed, like the find, replace stuff. It's really difficult. I had a guy, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. I don't know if I did, but I had a reader send in a bunch of code to help me with it, which was actually very helpful. But
oh, that was nice.
Yeah. I joked with him. I was like, dude, I was trying to figure this out myself. Thanks for ruining it. But actually, I really needed the help on this one.
Sure.
But it's kind of a hard thing to describe. But people think of Notepad as the simplest application in the world, but it does some things that are actually pretty sophisticated. And I would say that the find and replace stuff is right at the top of that list. And not just the functionality, which is just regular expression stuff, but the display of a dialogue over the thing where you're highlighting the word, it's like next, and it's going down. That's actually that might not be possible in Windows Forms. I don't know. I'm still struggling with it, but So
coding was hard.
What is
coding? I mean, building apps.
Coding. It turns out.
Turns
out not being a professional programmer has actually stymied me somewhat in this endeavor.
Well, it didn't stop me from finishing a basement, so there you go.
Yes.
All right.
Oh well. Anyway, I'll get there. But yeah, I got some Windows 7 stuff to post. I've got this Windows editorial thing I was talking to you about, which I'm sure everyone's gonna freak out about. More programming Windows stuff, all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be a busy week.
Yeah, it is gonna be a busy week, which is good. It's
good, bad. It's
nothing like jumping back into the fire, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody, that wraps it up for today. Tomorrow's show will be slightly less noisy, maybe. I don't know. They're going to be sanding tomorrow. I thought they're going to be sanding today, but they're putting on the topping coat, then sanding tomorrow, and then they're out of my house, I think. So, catch all of you later.